This is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central. We're coming at you today with another play. We got to do it right because we don't want to be sitting here feeling really uptight. So we're going to jump right in and jump right out. So once we're done, you know what it's all about. First things first. First up, what we wanted to put to you is that if you haven't already subscribed to the Tubular Black Facts channel on YouTube, please do so now. Proverb of the day from the island of Jamaica. No wait till drum beat before you grind your axe. No wait till a drum beat before you grind your axe. Yes, think about that one. Always be ready. Sharp, sharp, sharp. Got to be ready. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and read our poem for the day from the book Shushu Moko Jumbi, going all the way back to 1974 with Althea Romeo and some of her students. We read a student piece yesterday. Let's see what else we find in here for today. Wait a minute, what is this one here? Okay. This one seems like a good one right here. So we're going to go ahead and read this one today. This one is about Big Tierra. And if you don't know Big Tierra, you will by the time we're done. Big Tierra. Big Tierra, buxom and tall, occupied the eastern end of Tutuville's market stall with her tray of ripe mangoes piled in heaps of 5. Early in the morning, long before Uncle Tupe got up to make his tea to warm his belly. Do you hear me talking to you now? Big Tierra was always there with her head wrapped in a red kata, and she loved to expose her 4 gold teeth, especially when a joke was really sweet. When noontime came, she wore a scowl so venomous that if she didn't empty her tray by then, they remained there until God knows when. The little market scamps said her eyes kissed her nose in her noonday pose, and she raised her chest like an iguana ready to fight with all its might. If she had a tail to strike, she would strike it, but she had 2 feet which she liked to kick. At the stroke of 12, her tongue was so sharp that if it was a razor, it would cut you into shreds till you were dead. If her eyes were cold, they would burn right through you if you dared edge near her stall after 2. We talking about Big Tierra. We all blamed her mood on the noonday sun that settled on the red kata tied on her head in an oversized bun. Big Tierra was a sweet sugar apple in the morning, but we all knew with the coming of noon, her face would wrinkle like a prune. And there you have it, the story of Big Tierra. Big Tierra. Got to watch out for her. Woman coming with a kata wrapped all around her head. A big red kata at that. Meanwhile, let's move on. From Jamaica, we come to the town of Kent, Ohio, Northeast Ohio, Canton, Ohio, with the story of Norma Marceray, otherwise known as Norma Snipes, in her maiden days, telling the story of her sojourn at Kent State University and Northeast Ohio in general. Now let's see what Norma has to tell us about Kent. She told us we got a very interesting tidbit from her yesterday. Let's see what we end up getting today. And I just fixed this thing here. I don't understand how I got way over here when I was over there. All right. I'll have to work on that. I'll fix that while I tell the story. Meanwhile, where did we leave off at yesterday? She was talking about hating people. She was talking about trying to get a job teaching in her local public schools in Canton, Ohio, after the superintendent said he would never hire no niggas to work in his school system as teachers. Janitor, maybe, but a teacher wasn't going to happen. And here we have Norma Marceray sitting here with her newly minted Kent State Normal School teaching degree, all dressed up for the party and nowhere to go. What will Norma do? What will Norma do? What will I do if this program don't want to work right? Dang. Tried 3 times. Here we go. Now. All right. So, let's see where Norma's at. If I can finally get this thing here running right. This thing does not want to do what I'm asking it to do. I don't understand this. Oh, my God. Sometimes computers, you got to hate them, and sometimes you love them. All right. So now, when I arrived home, the wooden swing on the front porch was a welcome sight. The colorful cretonne cushions embraced my strange hurting zombiness. Sitting there, I had 3 or 4 hours to pull myself together before Mom came home from work. My brothers would be caddying. It never dawned on me to wonder where my sisters were. In telling Mom I was not hired to teach the hardest, most humiliating task of my life, she offered no encouragement, no sympathy whatsoever, no advice, no alternative suggestions, no nothing. I sensed and I could have told you attitude. Surprise, surprise. Because in the very beginning, if you recall, Mom didn't want her to go there in the very first place. I felt her unspoken words. The Lord has a way of punishing daughters who turn their backs on their mothers by going away to college and forgetting family priorities. So come down to earth, realize who you are, where you are, and do what you can to help me rear and support your brothers and your sisters. And that's all Mom really had to say about the whole thing. The whole situation boiled down to that. So here was Norma with nowhere to go and nothing to do except cry on her mother's shoulder, and her mother was fresh out of shoulders. Whatever the message, spoken and unspoken, real and imagined, there was a deep gulf between Mom and me. It began when, as a high school senior, I felt Mom was not developing the kind of interest in my teenage thoughts and feelings which she had so often expressed when I was a little girl. There had been moments when I felt sad about outgrowing my small childhood dependency. On this day, I envied the carefree existence of my youngest sister, Virginia. Age 7 was an age of innocence with no complications. Before mom could detail her financial obligations and her expectations of me, I made my own commitment. I would search for a cooking job where I could return home in the evenings. I did not want to live in the help's quarters, confined and cut off from the outside world. I would pay mom room rent, not one half of my salary as I had in the past. I had decisions to make about my future. I did not tell mom that maybe I would consider going south to teach, perhaps to Raleigh, North Carolina, my father's birthplace. Neither did I tell her, now was not the time, that while in college I had written to the police departments of several large northern cities asking them to search for my father. The picture that I had mailed of my dad standing outside the Snipes Bar and Grill was returned from New York, Chicago, Cleveland, Boston, and Philadelphia with a notation that no such person resided in their city. Did mom suspect the feelings I had for my pop? Could or would my father have understood my situation, my yearnings, my ambitions any better than mom did? At the next meeting of the Canton NAACP, I was eager to relate my experience with the school superintendent and to seek the organization's intercession. Surely they would intercede for me in my attempt to teach. They could let Superintendent Mason know that the colored community supported me. They could challenge the legality or the ethics of his refusing to hire an applicant because of skin color. The 10 to 12 members listened and then discussed my problem in tones of confused annoyance. Annoyance? At me? After nearly an hour of discussion, questions, and out-of-order rulings revealing frustration, fear, ignorance, bewilderment, and surprise, the NAACP president expressed an opinion with the rest of the members nodding their heads in agreement. Really, a smart girl like you should have known the white man is not ready to hire colored teachers in a town the size of Canton, Ohio. Maybe in large cities like New York City or Chicago, where there's a large colored population, you would have had a chance. Maybe you would have had a chance. We will check around in other Ohio cities like Cleveland, Columbus, Dayton, Toledo, and Cincinnati and see if colored teachers are being hired there. Yeah, because who'd ever want to hire a colored teacher? We know your mother would like to have you remain here as you are the oldest, but maybe you ought to consider going south for a while. You know, the way of the crows. That's where all the other black crows go when it gets cold up north. They heads down south where it's warm and the people are friendly as long as you stay in your place. You are just a bit ahead of the times, and you have to realize the race situation as it is today, they told her. The race situation, as I understood it, was that Negroes had been leaving the South in great numbers in recent years. In 1906, when my parents were married, there were fewer than 400 Negroes in Stark County, 300 of whom lived in Canton. By 1920, with the influx of Negroes at the start of World War I, their population increased to 2,000, or 1.6% of the total. With so many Southern migrants coming to Canton, in part because of job opportunities and in part to escape the racism of the South, why should I, a fourth generation native Ohioan, migrate to a disadvantaged Jim Crow Southland. I had no inclination to be a missionary in a foreign land. I wanted to be a vital part of the town of my birth. Imagine that. This migration suggestion came from the husbands and relatives of some of Canton's leading colored citizens. A few were former co-workers of my father. I recognized some of the church members who had stood by at the Sunday school picnic nearly 8 years earlier and had seen nothing wrong when the Sunday school superintendent offered 2 dishes of ice cream to be shared by 4 Snipes children. Neither was it wrong now for them to imply I had no entitlements to pursue my chosen career in my hometown. I felt I did not meet their social, economic, or physical standards. I came from a large family. Our father had abandoned us, and my skin color was too what? Too dark. Too dark to mobilize their quote-unquote advancement concerns. Several fair-skinned mulatto girls who had not completed high school had been hired as elevator operators. Now that's what you call progress. Because of the NAACP intervention, that was a monumental advancement. They were employed at the First National Bank building, the Rinkert building, and the Stark Dry Goods department store. Many Cantonians visited those buildings and rode the elevators to the top floors just to get the thrill of witnessing a colored girl in a job which did not require a mop, a bucket, and a broom. The time had not arrived to advance the dark-skinned girl in a white collar or professional capacity when she could easily obtain employment as a cook. Come on now. Y'all know you can cook. A housekeeper or a cleaning woman. Louise Beavers was being extolled in the movies as the lovable, accommodating, humorous, dark-skinned Negro house servant. Hollywood was educating all of America with their stereotype portrayal of Negroes. My own mama had been denied a day cleaning job, which included the outside scrubbing of the porch and washing windows because of her fair skin. Excuse me? Say what? Yeah, you heard that right. She was denied a job because of her fair skin, because it would have had her outside scrubbing the porch and washing windows. My neighbors will never know I have colored help if I hire you. Think about that. A would-be employer told her, I prefer a much darker woman to do my work. I hope yous understands. Miss Clotilde Ferguson, job placement and career counselor at the Canton Urban League, spent a great deal of time investigating careers with me. She was a tall, attractive octoroon who seemed to sense deeply my hurt and my dilemma. Now, for those of you who don't know what an octoroon is, you start off with a black person, you mix that with a white person, you get a mulatto. You take a mulatto, mix it with a white person, you get a quadroon. You take a quadroon, mix it with a white person, and you end up with an octoroon. Just one step away from a kangaroo or an orangutan. One step away. Back to the story. Now, where was I at? Oh, yeah. We reviewed some of the better jobs open to Negroes. All of them were unappealing to me. The list included janitorial, secretarial, window trimmer, dressmaker, alterations in a tailor shop or dress shop, and nursing. We began to consider social work as a professional alternative to teaching. With your 2-year college background, you could train for a social worker in a welfare agency in at least 6 months. 1 college semester, you could enroll in an economics and a sociology course at Temple University and study at the Armstrong School of Social Service, an institute conducted by the Philadelphia Urban League. What? Study at the Armstrong School of Social Service, an institute conducted by the Philadelphia Urban League. They're telling her she's going to have to leave town. Wherever there is unemployment, there will be job opportunities for trained social workers, she advised. Miss Ferguson's suggestion only added to my confusion. I wanted to say yes and to board immediately the next train smoking to Philly. But should I? I had never considered living outside of Canton, Ohio. So we're going to end there. Somewhat of an inconvenient spot, but we're almost at the end of chapter 5, getting ready to go to chapter 6. But in the meanwhile, it'll suffice it to say that she's having a hard time after now getting her degree and being ready to go and be a professional out in the field. She's having a very difficult time of it. First of all, she experienced culture shock when she came to Kent. Now she's experiencing another kind of culture shock, post-baccalaureate culture shock, we might be able to call it. Post-baccalaureate culture shock, where you get out in the world and find out how much your degree ain't worth because of the color of your skin. Not your grades or anything else like that, just the color of your skin. Okay, so much for that. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and close this session out. This is Doc Ock at noon and 9, and this is your Tubular Black Facts channel here on YouTube. So we're going to go ahead and move on. You know, we'll be black tonight with more stories about the Feather Woman of the Jungle, more scary stories. This week we've been focused on Amos Tutuola. Who knows what we'll do next week? We got one more week to go before the appointed hour, the bewitching hour of Halloween. That's right. We're doing this as a Halloween tribute this year. We're doing our scary stories because we've been hearing their scary stories for years. Now it's time to hear ours. So we'll be doing a special playlist this weekend. Look out for that. Last but not least, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe to the Tubular Black Facts channel if you haven't already. Peace out without a doubt. We'll be black tonight at 9. Look for us then, because we're all but in the wind.